Sleep is everything. If you're habitually shortchanging yourself on sleep, you're affecting way more than being groggy and needing an extra cup of coffee. In this video, I'm going to tell you why sleep is the most important self-care thing you can do. Look out for number one. So this tip is geared towards people who are chronically and habitually depriving themselves of sleep for other people or for work. Nobody is going to care about you the same way that you care about you. Everybody else is so focused with their own lives and their own needs that you're going to be their number two, if not much lower. Nobody's going to notice and appreciate the amount of effort that you are putting in to the point where you are chronically sleep deprived, and be able to notice and appreciate and reciprocate that in any meaningful kind of way. Stop waiting for other people to give you permission to treat yourself well. And I say this as somebody who's kind of a doormat. I realize that this isn't an overnight fix, but at the very least, I want you to be cognizant and mindful about what you're doing so that you can realize it and make steps to enact change. The need for sleep. Sleep is a biological need, and in fact, it is so important that Maslow's hierarchy of needs put sleep on the same level as air and shelter and food. It is so critical and foundational to our experience, and not only that, it's been definitively proven in animal studies that total sleep deprivation equals death. With enough time, you will die if you go without sleep. And yes, that's a little bit severe, but I want to illustrate the point of how important sleep just is. And one thing that I want you to look at is surviving versus thriving. Are you just getting the bare minimum to be able to live, or are you actually flourishing? Are you getting enough sleep to where you're just kind of going about your day existing, or are you getting enough sleep to where you can actually meet the goals that you want to meet? Now, I realize this does have some socioeconomic implications, but if you're here on YouTube looking up things about self-care, I'm operating under the assumption that you have the option to have thrive be your goal. You're not in a war-torn area, you're not homeless, you're not working two jobs to keep a roof over your heads. If at all possible, thriving should be your goal if you have the luxury of that. Productivity. So I find it really ironic when people purposefully shortchange themselves with sleep for the goal of getting more done, because we know that the amount of sleep that you get directly correlates to how much you get done. So one study found that fatigue-related productivity losses were estimated to cost almost $2,000 per employee annually. There's another study that showed between 23 and 45% of the population lose more than 2 work weeks worth of productivity every year because of fatigue. There's been countless other studies done, so the link between productivity and sleep is well documented. The long and the short of it is, if you get adequate sleep, you're gonna get more done. Beauty. So beauty sleep isn't just a wives' tale, it's an actual legitimate thing. There's a study called Negative Effects of Restricted Sleep on Facial Appearance and Societal Appeal, and the name of the study tells you exactly what you need to know about the results of the study. What I was most surprised by, though, is that it was only after 2 days of restricted sleep that the participants saw negative effects with their appearance and on people's perception of them. Another thing to consider is that collagen formation happens while you sleep. So somebody who's sleep deprived is going to notice an effect on wrinkles and skin elasticity. Somebody who's well rested is going to have a more youthful appearance. And at least in my experience, the only way that I can think to describe this is a lit from within glow. When I am well rested, I notice changes in my eyes and my plumpness, the plumpness of my skin, and even my makeup applies differently. There is a certain radiance that I have when I'm well rested versus when I'm not. Health. So, question for you. If you were to die tomorrow, would one of your last thoughts be, thank God I was a good company man? probably not right. So there's a book called Wishes of the Dying, and it was written by a palliative care nurse who spent a lot of time with people on their deathbeds, and she noticed some commonalities as far as regrets of the dying. Two, I think, tie especially well into this video. They are, I wish I hadn't worked so hard, and I wish I had allowed myself to be happier. Obviously, this is going to have greater implications than just sleep on somebody's life, but I think their approach to sleep speaks especially well as a metaphor to illustrate this point. So we know that sleep definitively has effects on health conditions and your mood and your just general enjoyment of life. And at least for me, I don't want to live a life of regret. I don't want to look back and be like, man, I did that wrong. And at least in my experience, sleep is so foundational to everything else. I don't want to not get enough sleep to where it's affecting my time with friends or my enjoyment of my hobbies. And I don't want to work so hard that I'm not getting a full night's sleep to do the other things that I enjoy. So there's a post I read on Reddit a while back, and if I can find it, I'll link it on the screen so you can pause the video and read it, but it's something that I think about a lot. I don't want to live a life of regret because I prioritize the wrong thing. Sleep touches so many facets of your life that the returns are far greater than the little bit of extra time that you spend making sure that you're actually well rested. I am curious to know what your #1 impediment is as far as getting a full night's worth of rest. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know you enjoyed it. And if you also want to be a well-rested human, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you get notified every time I upload. Sweet dreams!